Risking DMCA strikes. Welcome to this week's episode of In the Red, featuring these folks that you see around. They got the layout right and everything. Look at you all in your proper interface overlay places. Last time on In the Red, our heroes fought some bees. And then they were beginning to be overwhelmed, and then bumblebees came to help kill the bees. And then they found a giant honeycomb structure built into the ground that appeared to be non-natural when more evil bees attacked. But fortunately for them, and a miraculous event occurring on that honeycomb structure at the apex, was a magnificent statue of one Big Mar, who used his finger guns of water jets to kill the evil bees with blasts of endless water erupting from his finger guns. And that is where we pick up this week. It's damp around. It is surprisingly verdant on this small kind of island that happens to be kind of in the middle of some rivers here. It looks like somehow this terrain has managed to fend off the influence of the Shadowfell. It is very vibrant. There is this giant man-made honeycomb structure that you are standing near, with a statue of Big Mar and his finger guns of watery goodness, ready to keep the party going.
Would you say the rivers are dangerous?
No, the rivers here, although all rivers are dangerous, these rivers seem to divide dangerous locales from where you are. So I guess that's relative. Currently, because you are on this lush island, yes, rivers are dangerous because they will take you to less safe places, presumably. But if you are on the other side of the river, where the shadow is infested the region, rivers would be a blessing because they apparently have some kind of ability to keep the shadow at bay. This isn't new. You know this. You've encountered rivers keeping shadow at bay before.
Truth.
I also am. I'm remembering, and it still tickles me that we were headed to a meadery, and for the better part of 2 hours, Spit thought we were going to a meadery.
No. It wasn't 2 hours because we talked about the meadery the week before. For over a week, he assumed that we were talking about some butchery shop that apparently he refers to as a meadery. He's the only one. He's the only person on the planet that refers to a butcher house as a meadery. But who's to say he's wrong?
We're in a foreign land. I don't know these things.
I'm patting Spit on the head because his head is at like hand height anyway, so it's kind of accidental, really. But I'm trying to make you feel better, Spit.
The once was meadery.
It makes sense.
All right.
It sure do.
It makes even more sense as a meadery with bees. That's how we found out that he didn't know, because I was like, yeah, bees, you knew where you were going. And he said, what do bees have to do with meat? And I said, what are you talking about?
Asking the real questions.
It was a magical discovery, not gonna lie. Almost. You know what? No, it's completely on brand. I thought it was a Fey dragon.
That's true. This mistake might not have the same long-running campaign consequences as the Fey dragon did, but it's still delightful. So you find yourself in this kind of lush area next to this large structure that presumably leads to some kind of like subterranean facility, for lack of a better word, but that's where we'll pick up. Cooper, you are in charge this week. It's your week to be the boss. So what do you want to do, Cooper?
That's a difficult question. I just got here.
game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, were you enjoying too much of this meadery from Once Was?
Last week, Cooper, you killed some giant shadow wasps, for lack of a better word. Yeah, they were the size of horses and grumpy.
But we did kind of make a run for it.
Yeah, you did run across some bridges to this like lush area.
Enix was a giant dinosaur. He picked you up.
Enix was a giant dinosaur. He did pick you up.
Did you know a Quetzalcoatlus was a real dinosaur? I didn't know that until about a week ago.
Yeah.
It's Coddle,
It's
yeah.
real.
I was very excited when I found this out.
Right. So the bees happened, and then one of the big bees followed you over the river and was swarmed by bumblebees. Thousands and thousands of regular-sized bumblebees who swarmed the giant shadow bee and vibrated him to death because that's what
Also a-
bumblebees do.
Yeah, it's also a real world thing that happens.
Yeah.
Why are bees just 2 days in a row now?
I got bees on the mind.
Bees!
Bees on the mind.
Bees. Oh no, bees.
And remind me, what is the? Why are we here?
I
you were
took us here.
Yeah, Spit brought you here because it was a notable landmark from days of old that happened to be on the map that he thought that deserved investigation.
And we know that this is a potential stopping drop-off point in the midst of the bandit gold hoarding circulation that we learned from Kiv and Clamor from the tower.
Oh, that's right. Yes, this is where one of the there seems to be an elaborate railroad of interchanges where this money goes from the tower to whoever it goes to, and this island appears to be one of those spots.
Okay. Is there a map of said island?
Not really. If you happen to roll 20, there is a map of the battle with the bees, and that is currently the map you are all on.
Excellent. So, on this island, there is much shadow.
No, there is no
There
shadow
is-
on this island, surprisingly.
Oh,
It's strange.
on the other side is shadow.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
And there is a large structure shaped like a beehive emerging from the ground with a statue of Big Mar on top, finger guns blasting with
And this
that
is
sweet, sweet water blast.
okay. And this is the meadery that we have already examined.
No, we literally stopped at the end of combat last week as the
Okay.
Big Mar statue blasted some bees and saved you all. So
Awesome.
no one has taken any time to investigate the structure, or kind of the rest of the island, frankly, I guess. It does look to be about a half mile, vaguely circular.
Okay. I say we start with the statue.
Cool. It looks very similar to the Big Mar statue in the basement of Jeffrey's Delicious Savory Meats. Delicious.
The one that gives us
It's a juicy sandwich experience.
Juicy sandwich experience. My
For
For
apologies.
some reason,
Oh.
delicious savory meats just didn't land well with me.
All right. Jeffrey's Juicy Sandwich Experience has a similar statue. This one is a little bit bigger. This one, instead of being like a 5-foot base with an 8-foot statue, looks to be like a 10-foot base with maybe a 12-foot statue at kind of the pinnacle of this hive structure.
wow. That's super cool. I'm gonna go up to it. I'm gonna investigate it.
Yeah, it is very similar to the other one. You're not sure
Where does the good juice come out of the other one?
His finger guns. His finger guns fill your potions.
Oh, but this one, bees came out.
No, this one blasted evil bees with water to kill them,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
thus saving you from the giant shadow bees.
I look to everyone else. Do you think we can get it to blast other things?
Yeah, but I think, and I like rustle through my cloak and I like pull out my Big Mar potion. I think we have to use up our the ones that we got from back at home before. Like Big Mar never really like wanted to spurt stuff if we had one of his on hand. Actually, to that extent, I could take a sip from mine. But does anyone feel like they need to drink their Big Mar potion right now?
I took a bit of damage, so I'm definitely gonna drink my Big Mar
Same.
potion.
Yeah, watch. When they drink, it's sick because like here, if you come up to the Big Mar statue, like go up and like ask it for stuff, he's not gonna respond because we all still have ours.
Oh. All right. Well, I've never gotten anything from a Big Mars
Yeah.
statue before, so drink up and let's see how this shakes out.
Yeah.
So what's the roll for that?
That's 44 plus
44.
8.
4 or 8 now.
What level are you?
10.
Yeah.
44 plus 8. Yeah, at level 11 it goes up.
4d4.
I don't know Stone to the Bone. I don't know if we will have a nat 20 on this stream. We'll see.
Ooh.
I go, It'd be one of those, like, licking with, like, the...
What flavor was it?
Grape. It was purple. It
Ew.
was purple
Sorry.
flavored. It's not grape flavored.
Oh, yeah, that is true. It was purple flavored, not grape flavored. Difference.
Okay. I healed 15 points damage, and it was a delicious Big Mar flavor.
Well, thank you, Stone. I appreciate that. Yeah, you heal however much you heal. Also, if you have, it cures one status ailment if you have one, either poison or disease. It does not cure curses, but it will remove the poison condition, a disease, or another condition you may have. I don't know.
It's one or the other, right? It's healing or condition.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, after drinking mine, I will go up and see if I can pull one of his fingers and refill my potion.
I'm gonna pull his
Don't pull the
finger.
finger, then he's just gonna start farting. But
So you kind of like go up and do the normal thing that you would normally do. What was that? We got bits or something.
yeah, thank you for the bit, Stone.
Hey.
That's 5
Thank you.
bits. Get you guys another reroll here, or another Benny here. You go to operate the Big Mars statue as you are familiar with from the one at Jeffrey's Juicy Sandwich Experience. And it seems to recognize you. The statue seems to recognize that it has some sort of relationship with you. Because it's got like a clear glass tank, and the liquid in that tank turns from blue to this like healing potion reddish purple, and then as you like go to like fill it, fortunately like nothing breaks, but he does blast healing potion at a similar velocity to the way he was blasting healing potion at the bees. This appears to be like a defensive structure that he is in favor of, not necessarily a refill station. But you're pretty sure that healing potion could probably kill a bee. I don't know, or make him real healthy. It's tough to tell.
Do I gain any health by being blasted?
No,
With this-
unfortunately, no.
It's net neutral because it's dealing damage and healing damage at the same time.
He didn't
Are you
swallow
still
any
down
of
hit
it.
points?
Yes, I'm still down.
Make a
hit
con
points.
save.
He's literally drinking from the fire hose. It's great.
15.
Yeah, you heal another 10 points of damage as you it's like somebody tried to throw a drink in your face and you were like, and then you drank it instead.
Do any of the bees in response come in like? I mean, I'm assuming. What's the smell of the healing potion?
It's like there's like a honey sweetness to it for sure. It's like
Oh.
almost a
Do
sickly
the-
sweet, medicinally
do the-
sweet.
Bees come in like kind of like.
So the
nom,
bumblebees
nom,
for
nom,
sure
nom.
do. The shadow bees are all dead. There's no
Yeah.
living
I just wanted to know
shadow
about the
wasps,
living
but-
bees.
Yeah, so the bumblebees kind of like swarm around and like clearly are interested in the sugars in this potion.
Dope. Cool. That's all I had. There was nothing. There was nothing beyond that. I just didn't know what kind of like base it was.
Mhm.
Are any of the flavors, I guess, that we have now like associated with like that? Like, I'll take like a little like take a drink like a whatever this one's is,
Mhm.
the flavor. Is there anything associated to any of the flavors that we have had from the spice cabinet back at home?
Not really the spice cabinet. It does taste like the healing potion that you have been getting from him
Sure.
periodically. There is a very similar taste there. It's kind of like the sweetness is like a sickly plum flavor almost, like
Okay.
an extra sweet, sickly sweet plum.
Okay.
With a little bit of like, you know, that like pink medicine, like the chalkiness of the pink medicine, the liquid pink
Yeah.
medicine.
Yeah.
It's like a sickly plum with like that chalkiness on the back
Ugh.
end. Yeah.
I
Plum
can taste
pink
that. It
bismuth.
It's
feels
very specific. Yeah.
that's very specific.
Yeah. I know. I'm very good at this.
Can I look around? See if there's anything fun.
Yeah,
know it's-
where are you looking? Are you looking at the island? Are you looking at the structure? Are you looking at the statue?
Looking, I wanna like search around the structure, like around
Okay.
the statue.
Yep. Make an investigation check. Or survival either.
Either of those does nothing for me because I rolled a 3. So, but a survival would bring it up to a 9.
Yeah, that's not.
We have 17 bennies if you,
You
want
do
to
have
use
a lot of
benny.
bennies.
Yeah, I'll use a Benny. I'll use a
Considering
Benny.
like question
Mhm.
in terms of how much are we playing? Are we playing next week?
Is everyone available next week?
It could be tight, but I guess I could make it happen.
No. Don't stress to make it like it's a holiday. This will be the last week of the year. Then we'll pick up in January. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we have some things to burn then.
Yeah.
1 or 2. 10 of them can be used for other things.
Did we do that 2 weeks ago too?
Yeah.
It's because you don't use your pennies very often.
No, we don't. Since I get to re-roll ones,
Mm-hmm.
Oh
I,
my goodness.
It's goofy.
it's goofy
So
when you.
Would you
roll
like
2
me to
ones.
investigate what you're trying to
No.
investigate?
No, he just
'cause
needs a
I-
different die.
Because I rolled a 25 after re-rolling those ones.
25. Yeah, so there is. So at the top of this structure is this statue, right? It's a little tricky to get up there, but I assume that you're a pretty nimble ranger type, so you didn't really have a problem getting up to activate Big Mars security functions. There is like a small on the back side. There's like a threshold that like is an access point, and then immediately inside it just drops about 30 feet, and there's like a ladder right on the inside of this access point that goes down, kind of built into the side of this beehive structure.
I relay this information to everyone and say, "Hey guys,
Mhm.
I found a thing."
Additionally, with your 25, there is a good deal of foot traffic that comes in and out of here. of various sizes. You see probably at least a dozen different footprints, and some of them are odd. So typically for halflings, the footprints are smaller, but the weight distribution is similar to an adult human. But these have like halfling sized footprints that the weight distribution is kind of not that, right? The weight distribution of kind of all of them seems a little bit off, but the small ones even more so. These particular small ones. There are small ones that are pretty common to the rest of them as well, but there's 3 or 4 sets of small footprints that the weight distribution doesn't seem to match the rest of them. And then kind of on as you're examining, because you have a 25 on your on your survival, you do notice from like kind of the top of this, standing next to Big Mar, there does appear to be on the far end, kind of where you cross the bridges, in that tree, there appears to be a blind drop point that none of these footprints go toward. So it looks to be unaffiliated with this structure, and plausibly is just a drop point out of convenience and the relative comfort that this particular island provides.
Cast a spell, please.
Yeah.
I'd like to cast Detect Magic.
Yeah, so the statue is super magical.
Just to kind of have it up residually, I think is the bigger one.
Sure.
But I figured that was it.
Yeah, nothing other than the statue seems to be magical within 30 feet of you.
Okay.
Is there anything that might have writing on it? Like any signs, loose papers, any directions, notes, or anything like that?
It looks like above the doorway with this ladder there is what used to be a sign, but it looks like it's either decayed and fallen or been torn down. Kind of inside, it looks like this ladder was built. There is evidence kind of based off the coloration of the walls where the sun is hitting it through this doorway, that there used to be stairs kind of circling around this, the inside of this kind of cistern-like structure that led down, and for whatever reason they were replaced with this ladder.
Is there anything in the spot that used to be a drop? Well, is there anything in the drop spot, the blind drop spot?
There is not, but there is evidence that this is probably the drop spot that you came in search of. There's some scorch marks. Oh, I take that back. There is one of the fire grenades here that looks like it's part of like a cache that was secretly left here. And it's interesting because there looks to be like a secret compartment kind of carved into this tree that is almost like a drawer that's been disguised fairly well, but knowing like the specifics of the location gave you insight, and that's where this fire grenade is.
Inside the drawer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we want it?
I guess as well as there's probably a logbook there too, indicating not amounts, but who dropped off and who picked up. The drop-off names are familiar to you all. They're the folks that Kiv was sending to do the drop-offs, at least the most recent ones. The other names are not in a language that you can decipher.
So does that mean these drops are for us?
No, it was our
Away
folks.
from us.
It was our folks that was keeping up a ruse, dropping stuff here.
Okay.
Is what that was. So that's why we recognize the names are he would have given us like a list of names.
Cooper, what's going on? What are you guys doing?
Okay, so this is. I feel like I'm not getting a good picture of what we're looking at.
Mhm.
The Big Mars statue has the ladder going down.
No,
And
so
it's
there's
just
like this honeycomb-like structure that's coming out of the ground. And then at the top of it is the Big Mar statue.
Okay.
On the far end from where you approached it, where the grounds is, there's a doorway, and inside that doorway is this ladder down. The Big Mar statue is probably 5 feet above
Okay.
where that doorway ends.
And we haven't gone down the ladder. We're just looking to see what can be seen
Correct.
from
And
the
then the cistern itself inside the ladder is pretty large. Like this honeycomb domes, where it emerges from the ground, it's like 110 feet across.
Oh, so this is huge.
It looks like a big structure, yeah. And the cistern drops probably 30 or 40 feet to a stone floor. But it is dark. The only light you have is the sunlight.
We're going in.
Is there any indication how long ago the spiral stairs were replaced with the ladder? Like, is it obvious under what conditions? Like, were they beat up or were they like removed deliberately and replaced with a ladder?
Make an investigation check.
Let me use a Benny.
Okay.
Since we have them. That one's a lot better. That's a 21.
It looks intentional. It looks like the stairs were pulled down and replaced with this ladder. You're not sure kind of what the cause of that would be, but it does look intentional. You notice that as you kind of head down this ladder to the cistern, where you are now essentially in a large 110-foot wide circular stone pit. And if you check roll 20, you can see kind of what you're-
How old's the ladder?
Hmm?
How old is the ladder? I mean, I know that's kind of a vague question.
How
Can-
old is
can
the
I-
ladder? It's tough to say. It looks like it's been here for 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
I would love to light a torch so I could see.
Oh, great plan.
Get dark vision. Get good.
Yeah.
One of you wizard boys needs to learn a spell so that those of us who are good at hitting can have dark vision.
Well, I could just dump like a flaming sphere in the middle of the room, but we have bad luck with lighting things on fire.
I feel like that's a hot way to come in. I feel like a torch drop down to the bottom is maybe
I could put a light on a stone and then push it through.
Right.
also yes. Either one of those things is good. Let's do the light on the stone.
What if we get the fire grenade from upstairs and just light it off in here?
There would be cool stuff down there and I want it.
Yeah.
So everyone should be able to see something now that Dimitri has a torch.
Okay, who's going in first? This is me as Coop. Who's going in first?
I can.
I don't see anything, by the way. I don't know if that's.
So prior to let's see here.
Yeah, you do.
Prior to moving forward, I'm gonna go ahead and cast mirror image on myself.
Okay.
And I will go ahead and also cast Mage Hand and just have that handy.
Mhm.
And I will move forward about 15 feet from the party and
Okay.
continue straight on. I'd like to move carefully and
Okay.
listen for any movements or inspect like the surroundings for any potential traps.
Sure, make both a investigation and perception check.
Cool. Investigation will be a 15. Perception is a 29.
Okay. You don't detect any traps. In terms of perception, you do notice that there are 2 doors on this side of the cistern. It kind of, you would estimate vaguely north and vaguely east.
Uh-huh.
How big is your dark vision? Is it 60 or 120?
My dark vision. Racial traits. Dark vision, 60 feet.
Okay. You do hear some kind of like, kind of soft speaking from the far end, what would be west cardinally. So that would be like up here.
Okay.
But beyond that, it seems to be the issue is like this structure is built of stone, and there is so
big
much
cabin.
stone here that it really like kind of cancels out the noise unless you are in a room that is not barricaded by stone, right? And there are stone
Yeah.
doors kind of blocking the way, so it's a little tough to kind of get your wits. But you do hear soft speaking from the west.
All right. So that would have been greater than 60. I turn around and I like motion for quiet, and I'd like for us potentially as a party to move towards that. There's drawings. What's happening?
Oh, I'm just establishing what's north, east, south, and west.
Oh, thank you so much. Perfect. So I'd like for the group to kind of move on towards that way and see if we can get a better vantage point on that as I motion them. I see Dimitri put up a finger, and I go like this again, very carefully.
Cooper, do you corroborate with this point as being the in charge person?
Yes.
Okay.
While after Spit makes the very quiet, I'll cast a Pass Without Trace on myself.
It's on everyone within 30 feet of you.
Yep. So I throw up my hands and I nearly shout in celebration, and I stopped myself. So,
All right.
right, let us do. So I'll continue to maintain like maybe a 15-foot gap as the scout
Sure.
for the group.
Yeah.
Hi, Cooper.
You managed to see a third door, similar to the other 2.
We're just assuming Cooper's with us since Cooper can't
Yes.
seem to. Can you change your character as?
I have Cooper on the wrong
Layer.
layer, maybe.
Oh.
Oh, it's because I forgot to assign Cooper to Elise. I also forgot to give him vision. So she's just looking at a black screen right now.
Oh, okay, that's what you meant by.
Sorry about
Very
We
dark.
got this. We got this.
You should be good now, Elise.
Okay.
Right. Are you able to see all of us?
Yes.
All right. So we are moving slowly towards this side. And so you say that here is where a door is?
Yeah, there's a door there as well.
I'd like to press my ear fin to... I'd like to inspect if the door has a trap.
Okay. Make an investigation check.
That is a 15 again.
Yes. No, a 15? No, there's no trap.
Brian!
Sorry.
Seemed good, guys. Let's go.
Is there any visual into the room?
No, it's a stone door. It's surprisingly like well crafted, and the door really blends into the wall here. It's tough to spot. The only reason you noticed it is because you
My
roll really well. You're very perceptive. Yes.
Yes. I turn over to the group again. I give the shh moment, and like I look at Coop and I point towards the door and I tell everyone step back, and I point at me. I'm like, am I the one opening the door?
Coop, who's opening the door?
Oh, are we opening the door? So, are we opening the door like?
Are we? Or are we not?
I think we should open the door. I just think that there are many ways in which one can open a door.
Yeah.
It's a philosophical debate about how to open one door.
So, are you planning to open the door with your hands or with like?
I've got my ghost hand.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's all hug the wall,
Mhm.
maybe. And I will go ahead and try to. Is there a mechanism on the door, like a doorknob or a latch or something?
No, there
that
sure
appears?
isn't. You haven't spotted a way to open the door yet?
I go over to Coop. I'm like, I think this door. I'm gonna try, but I think the door is too heavy for my ghost hand. I try with my ghost hand.
How are you attempting to open this? You know it's a door, but there doesn't seem to be like a handle or a knob.
Quick question,
I-
Brian. Is it magical? Is there anything magical about the door?
Does line of sight matter for detect magic?
Let me double check. I think it does.
think it does.
If it's behind something, I don't think I'd get it, but let me double check. Federation, you sense the presence of magic within 30 feet. If you sense magic in this way, you can use your action to see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic, and you learn its school of magic, if any. The spell can penetrate most barriers, but is blocked by 1 foot of stone, 1 inch of common metal, a thin sheet of lead, or 3 feet of wood or dirt.
Yeah, I don't think you can detect magic then.
Okay.
The voices were coming? Have I heard the voices, or was it just spit?
So far, just spit. I mean, and that's only because he rolled like a 90 on his perception check.
Okay.
I get a +10 to perception. If we were to press our ears on the stone wall that's not connected, that's not the door, would we be able to hear? You
could try that. Is that something you want to try?
I will go and try it.
Okay. Yeah, you hear similar muttering sounds.
And so I motion and I tell everyone to press their ears against the wall so that they can hear it too.
Yeah, so you all, on specifically directly next to the door, you kind of like put your ears up to the wall, and you hear spit cheating and walking through a door.
I didn't mean to. I was moving away.
And you hear, it doesn't so much sound like muttering at this point as like someone is speaking an almost monologue-ish. It's tough to like figure out the context because everything is pretty muffled. But it does seem to be, there seems to be a bit of an echo, as if whatever room that's being spoken in is another large stone room, essentially.
Are there any holes in the space? Like, are there cracks or a gap that a tiny creature can go and pass through? We've got a frog. We've got. Do we have bear?
I mean, he's not going to be he's more
A
of
thing. Yep.
Yeah. And he's
Okay.
I mean, at this point in time, I would say he's probably a bit larger now.
That's valid. He's probably bigger than we are. That's right.
He's a large cosmetic object at this point.
Yes. would something tiny be able to? Have I seen any cracks that can be penetrated?
I don't think so. Not cracks per se.
Any holes in the ceiling or vents or other windows or anything that, like, not like large windows, but like gaps in the wall?
I don't think so, actually.
Is the floor made of stone, undiggable stone?
Yes.
Okay.
So the voices that we've heard are being conducted directly through the stone, not through
Someone
a
is
crack or a hole.
speaking. Yeah, because your like ear is up to the stone,
Okay.
Feel
and
the
they are
vibration.
speaking in a room that is adjacent to the stone. You can hear this kind of speaking going on. Spit, make an insight check.
I'd like to use a Vanny. 17.
It occurs to you that this might just be an egress. That this particular door is not meant to open from this side.
It's an exit.
Okay.
Hey, just a real quick question. We back up on the surface.
Mhm.
Were there any other? I know we didn't investigate this, but were there any other obvious entry points to go down? Was it just a bunch of trees and then the honeycomb?
Yes, you didn't really fully investigate the island above, so it's tough to know what you missed. It's possible that there were other entry points, but you didn't really look.
Yeah, okay. This is just reminding me of my basement right now, how there's like the
Right?
emergency exits out the
Yeah.
window to go
Yeah.
up. That's already what this is feeling like, but there's also other doors.
I mean, there's also 3 other doors in this room that you're currently in.
Yeah.
That's valid. Yeah. All right. So I let people know I like X out and I ask everyone to follow again where we could go and maybe walk over towards the north door.
Okay. Yeah, when you get to the north door, there is a clear mechanism to open and close the door.
Right.
Is the door trapped?
Make an investigation check.
I'll give you advantage.
Oh, you can do that?
I have proficiency in investigation.
Ooh, 21.
Yeah, you detect there is a mechanism on the the door is trapped. Yes.
All right. I'd like to use my mage hand to use the mechanism to open the door, and I signal everyone to stay clear.
Okay. As you do so, when the door opens, you hear a loud, booming voice say, "Beware! Intruders are here. They have come to the meadery. Beware! Intruders are here. They have come to the meadery. Wait, maybe they're guests. Someone is here. Please address management and bring them to the reception."
It's guess. It's guess.
Eager guess. Do,
Coop, what are we doing?
the door's open now, though, right?
Yeah, and that's why you can see through it now.
We'll just wait for them to get here. But like, be ready.
Okay. It
In
doesn't.
the universe of D&D, are there loudspeakers and like playback
I was
devices?
gonna say, I was like, wait, hold on. Oh no, it's
yes, called
it's magic
mouth.
voice.
Yeah, it's
Magic
a
mouth,
spell
yeah.
called magic mouth. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Except for the ones that we get where it's just mouths that appear and stuff.
Ew.
Well, it's where all the tongues came from.
Right.
Blech.
You guys see into this room as you wait to be addressed by management, and there appears to be, it looks like training dummies inside in a
Ooh.
large circular cistern. And at that point, It takes about 5 minutes or so as you start to hear. I don't even think you hear footsteps, to be honest. You hear a door creak open and then shut. And then a moment later, very abruptly, you see a man. He is a lizard folk wearing robes. And he says, are you enemies or guests?
Yes.
Guests.
Oh, that's wonderful news. Please come in.
Well, thank you. See, it wasn't so bad.
What has brought you to the Once Was Meadery?
Big fans.
Oh, we don't have many fans left. It's been a long time since we've had the notoriety we once did.
You know, that's how big of a fans we are.
Please come in, he says, and he takes you into this room with the training dummies. And inside the room, he lights.
Just really quick, might he have like an invisibility spell up? Because I actually can't see his token.
Oh, it's because I didn't make a token for him.
Oh, okay, good. We're in the room now.
You're in the room now. Yeah, my apologies. You're in a large circular room, about half the size of the one you were in prior. It has 2 additional rooms off of its sides, as well as 2 long hallways that lead to other areas in this structure. And he says, my name is Egon, and I've been placed in charge of reception for the Once Was Meadery. What can we do for you?
A tour?
A tour. I'm afraid I'll have to take that up with the rest of the administrative team, as the safety and security of our students is paramount, and we do not know who you are. If you would like a tour, I can certainly start that process. You're welcome to wait here. If you wish, we can put you up in our guest housing, our guest accommodations. And he kind of goes toward the eastern door, and there is another even smaller yet circular room inside that door. And he says, by all means, make yourselves comfortable. I can talk to the rest of management and see how comfortable they are with taking guests at the moment into the residential area.
Can I perform an insight check really
I
quick
would
to make sure
also
that
like to
he's
make an
not
insight
like?
check.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. Do you feel really good at insight, Coop?
Y'all can both
I do
do
feel
it.
really good at insight.
Feel free.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
you've
good
been
at it
chatting
too.
15?
Get a +4.
Yeah,
I'm-
he seems peculiar, but doesn't seem to be altogether untrustworthy.
Okay. And he's not like lying about leading us to a guest room to become comfortable.
No, there's like beds and stuff in the room. There's like bunks set up in the room, as well as like a small table for whatever you need to use a table for. And he actually lights some torches, some sconces in the room to make things more comfortable. And he says, let me go and have a conversation with the administration, and after we have a what I'm sure will be a rigorous debate, I'll come back with noted responses from them.
Just really quick, Egan. Igor. Oh,
Egon.
I'm really. I speak Cobalt a bunch, and it messes up my accent. How do you pronounce your name again?
Egon in the common tongue. He actually switches to Draconic for a bit to make you more comfortable. And he says, Egon is a name I have chosen to adopt for the sake of folks who don't have the benefits of split tongues. My name is actually Aaron with an A. Aaron rather than Erin, like the other Aaron you know. He says, Perhaps this is more comfortable, although your friends look suspicious now. I'm at a loss here. I very rarely. We don't have many guests. I'm trying to accommodate you as best as possible, but.
Eh,
Hmm.
Yes, no, Egon, and Aaron, I'm glad that you were able to share that with me. Whatever your preferred name is, just feel free to let us know. But we didn't get a chance to introduce ourselves yet, and especially if you're going to be speaking with your management, I'd love for them to know who we are so that you could refer to us properly.
Oh,
Um,
certainly.
my name is Spat, and I'll let the others introduce themselves. But we all come from Winds Hollow, from up northwest of here, and we actually run a restaurant operation up there, and may potentially be
Oh,
interested.
you've come on business.
Yeah, potentially,
Interesting.
if especially if you're looking to be able to raise the notoriety of Once Was again, there potentially could be opportunities, and that may be why a tour could be um, beneficial. And if there are students that may be interested in outplacement, that could potentially be an arrangement.
Interesting. Typically,
I also
go
oh,
ahead.
good.
Go for it.
I also have a real quick question to just
Mhm.
pigtail on what Spitz said. Are you currently a meadery here in this? Like, do you make mead, or I'm just noticing a bunch of training dummies in here.
Right. So the meadery has always been a monastery as well. But we currently are at lower production, but we do produce mead in the lower wards. I'm afraid you likely won't be able to access um, the production facility. But if you wish to tour the monastery component, that is something that can probably be done. We do have to be cautious. The nectar and whatnot, the honey available is um, substantial here, but always under threat from the incursion of shadow that seems to maraud our bees. Um, yeah.
Do you know about this? How long has the Big Mars statue been out front?
Oh, that's an ancient relic of bygone days. The meadery was once created as a shrine, as it were, to Big Mar as the token face spirit of revelry. It seemed appropriate to devote our facility in the creation of such an intoxicatingly lovely beverage to the spirit representing revelry. Of course, it is a lot of local superstition, and to our knowledge, the Fae spirits, as it were, it's largely old folklore. But we did equip the Big Mar statue with appropriate countermeasures to defend us against the agents of shadow that tend to cross the river at times.
Well,
Are you local? Are you familiar with the old stories, as it were, the old superstitions?
potentially. I'm learning a lot more, but if there's a maybe I'm not necessarily familiar with them, but I'm learning the ways of the older um
Interesting. Not
individuals.
often do we encounter folks with the time in the region as it is to undergo anthropology. This is a wonderful excursion and a luxury that we don't often see. Taking time out of mere survival in the shadow infested bell to investigate the old beliefs of bygone eras. It's lovely to see.
It's definitely something to say the least. How long have you been here with the meadery?
Oh, I would say this is my 43rd winter here. Yes, 43rd. Our numbers are frankly much higher than normal, but things have been challenging in the last decade or so. So it's not surprising to me that our numbers would bolster in this relative place of safety here.
Certainly.
Is there anything else I can? I mean, I'm sure that being here on business will increase the opportunity of you to see the facility in general. Is there anything else you wish to know before I go and address the administration?
We need to take our shoes off for the tour.
To your preference, you'll notice that our order does not typically wear shoes. Occasionally, we'll wear foot bindings or wrappings for inclement weather and terrain. But if you are not comfortable shoeless, by all means, you may leave them on. Though if you wish to remove them, feel free. The stone does get a bit cold, so if you are prone to chilliness, I would recommend perhaps leaving them on. As I am being cold-blooded, that is not typically an issue for me. I have a tendency to adapt pretty well, but occasionally we do have students that prefer to leave them on or wear thick socks whenever they move around in the cistern here in the meadery. It does get in the way when it gets a bit damp. They get soggy sock syndrome, and it's uncomfortable. But and look at me, I'm going on and on. Make your own decisions regarding footwear.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's all the questions we had.
Oh, excellent. Well, let me go and touch base with the administration, and perhaps it may take, well, it could take up to an hour or so to get them all on board one way or the other. So do feel free to make yourselves comfortable. Hopefully the provided light will be enough for your needs. If you need to stretch your legs, feel free to head up to the field, or there are some dummies to practice on, but I doubt you are as sandwich entrepreneurs. I doubt you are very well trained in the martial arts, as it were. But feel free to enjoy yourselves in the time it takes me to go and come to a conclusion.
Coop is nodding, carrying like the biggest fucking stick sword on their back.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, for sure.
I again would like to insight to see if he meant the things that he said, clearly seeing Coop like leading the way and such.
Go ahead and make a roll.
Big sandwich slicer.
22.
A couple of things. One, he clearly has a different definition of martial than you do.
Oh, right.
And,
Their monastery.
Two, he also seems to think that restaurateurs probably do not make very good adventurers, but he has not been proved otherwise yet.
And we're not changing any opinions.
It seems to strike. He doesn't seem to like be pointed to Coop when he says lack of martial ability, as if maybe y'all hired Coop because your moneybags needed a bodyguard. But yeah, there seems to be a degree of misunderstanding.
It's honestly not far off base.
It's not. It's so good.
Not at all.
We needed someone to reach the top shelves of the sandwich shop.
The
bread was starting to go stale.
Oh no!
I'm calling my glaive the party sub sandwich slicer from now on.
Yes!
Yeah.
I like it.
Is that glaive that sandwich at the non-copyright infringing sandwich shop that's always dull as hell, so it just sort of like rips the sandwich in half?
No!
And verify they do those things.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Go ahead.
I suppose he's left already.
He has started to leave, and as you say, he like stops momentarily.
Oh.
And
Oh, no, nothing.
he says, "Okay," and continues to leave, and expects you to say something again, and stops one more time about halfway down the hallway to answer whatever question you have.
Oh, go. We're good.
Thank you so much for the hospitality. We're really
Certainly.
excited to be here. We're really
Certainly.
big fans.
And he goes to the he goes through the western corridor, and he closes the door behind him. You hear like a sliding barricade on the other side of the door. And that is where he leaves you for the better part of an hour. Is there anything you guys wanted to do in the meantime?
I look at everybody else and say, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't super paying attention. Do they still make meat here?
Yes,
Yeah.
they still make meat.
Oh,
here.
But
okay.
little amounts.
Okay. But it's mostly
Um,
for training monks.
It looks it. I wanted to walk around and like look at the dummies
Mhm.
to see like how have they been trained on? Are they trained on with just like punchies, or are they slashed up? Are they magicked up and like burnt and stuff like that? How have they been trained on?
Sure. So there are clearly like stab wound, like piercing weapon wounds, and then it looks like arrow wounds as well into these dummies. But there is also like unarmed strikes as well. So they do appear to be traditional monks that train with bows and other forms of piercing weapons. Though it's tough to really kind of get a huge grasp on what the weapons are until you look to the walls and you see these weapon racks. And,
I was gonna say there's little. What's on
and
there?
There are not halberds. What are they called? There are long pole arms with pointed ends and
Pikes.
broad axes on the side, similar to halberds, but they look a bit more stylized than Cooper's halberd. Additionally, there are long whips, but at the end of the whip is a blade that appears to be a piercing blade for these whips.
Damn. That's cool.
Do any of them appear to be magical?
No, none of these are magical.
Can I try out the whip blade?
Yeah,
Oh.
make make an attack roll.
Okay.
I step away.
I'm gonna remain in the room and on the bed.
You're going to the bed. I'm just
I'm in the room, like just like sitting on one of the beds.
Oh,
I don't want to be out of range of this thing.
Yeah, that's
Right,
I'm stepping
uh,
away.
I'm making sure there's an adequate wall between me and that.
Yeah, they look
Oh, wait,
about. They look
here, I'm
like
gonna go
they
this
look
way.
to be like 15-foot whips.
Do I just do a basic D20 plus my strength?
Your dexterity based attack.
Oh.
Oh, okay. So plus my dex, it's a 9.
God.
So there's good news and bad news. This whip is a very difficult tool. You are not trained on it, and that becomes
My
very
shield
clear
like this.
as you poorly attempt to utilize this whip. The plus side is you have been paying. You are familiar enough with weapons in general that you don't stab the five of you as you're flailing this whip around.
Just running around like a child with scissors.
Yep.
Desperately trying to hit. I imagine that I'm like going for like one of the dummies, but like it's like
You hit
pinging off
3
the
other
walls.
dummies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Coop, we should probably ask permission first before
How
We're all so
majestic.
short we don't have to duck.
It's true.
I do.
Enix, you look very concerned as like you're like, oh god, and everybody else is like, yeah, cool.
The himbo is at it again.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Nice. I neatly put it back.
Well, just
where I
to be
found it.
clear, like from the start, I pulled my shield out and I've just been like
Right.
peeking out over the top of it.
Mhm.
Any signage or writing notes or anything like that? Anything that says please do not touch the weapons unless otherwise instructed? Like anything of that
No,
sort?
in fact, he specifically said that you could feel free to experiment with the
That's true.
guns,
Imitate each
so,
other.
yeah. About that time, however, is when he returns with 3 other individuals, and they all like lean back a little bit as they move toward Coop, and like deftly evade this whip as it flails about. One of them like grabs the end of the whip and like
Right.
taps him on the shoulder and says, "That's enough. We're good." It appears to be the administration, as it were. There are 4 of them, Egon as well as a human named James, and 2 half-elves, one of whom appears to be the other half-dwarf, as she has clearly dwarven features as well as elven features. And they sit down in this kind of small room with you, and they say, we hear you'd like to see the facility. There's a chance that you might be interested in becoming customers of ours.
Yes.
Sorry, Egon here said that we could stretch our legs a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine, but
It just
there are
looks-
other people around, so let's just be careful.
Yeah.
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 But also, yeah, we want to buy your stuff.
Wonderful.
I mean, I'm not the business guy. I'll let
Sure.
them, get
that's,
into it.
That's
but-
wonderful to hear. Our capacity is a bit lowered of late. We typically, in days of old, we would have produced gallons upon gallons, stills, barrels even. These days we produce quite a bit less, but we can still probably produce enough of a supply for your sandwich shop, I hear. What kind of turnover? What kind of supply would you require?
Probably not that much. We could have it more of a specialty drink than
Interesting.
anything, and have it as a delicious rarity, and create that aura and that essence of how good this the meat is from what we've been told.
Yeah, people will pay hella extra for small batch.
Ah, excellent. Small batch. Well, that is interesting. Well, let's take a walk around the facility, and we can get down to brass tacks, as it were. And they kind of lead you. They lead you to down the eastern hallway, and through a door. It leads to another. It looks this very much is starting to resemble a beehive, as it is pretty symmetrical. They lead you to another large chamber where you see about a half dozen, presumably trainees, practicing archery.
Ooh.
Notably, these all appear to be halflings.
Interesting. So I'm assuming they're, by the layout of this room, they're standing in the middle.
Yes.
It's terrifying, by the way.
Yes.
That is
very
super not safe.
Yeah. They say, do be warned, stray arrows occasionally happen, but this is their training facility. You are guests, so this is the way we have taught things for quite some time. This is the way of the swarm. So we will do the best we can.
That's cool.
to ensure your safety, but should you move too far out of the safe zones, and he like gestures to the floor, and there's like a chalk
Caution tape.
outline. It says, "Stay within the safe barriers," and our students are trained to make sure that stray arrows do not go that astray, as it were. Dimitri,
Is there a? Oh,
Dimitri, make a perception check.
Perception. What is my perception?
is there a like a little like thing like days since last incident?
No, there's not.
How old are these the halflings?
Halflings.
Let's wait on Dimitri's perception
Okay.
check here.
So I have proficiency. So does that mean I get to roll advantage or?
No.
No,
Could
it
I
just
help
means you
it?
get yeah, if he's giving
Because
you
being the halfling also
yeah,
thing.
if he's giving you the help action, you get advantage. Yeah.
Well then, if I'm getting the help action, I'm rolling a 25. With now, it's a 21.
Sure. It occurs to you these are not halflings. These are just children.
Oh.
They are the first children you have encountered since arriving in Bell. But these are children between the ages of 8 and about 15.
Excluding the dead ones, right?
Right, yes. These are children between the ages of 8 and about 15.
Are there children on the glass shore?
Yes.
Okay.
These aren't actually children. They're
just-
they're small. They're flying daggers.
They're
They
flying.
They're sentient swords.
They graduate and become bigger swords. That's just what they are.
That's just what they are. They're
Interesting.
okay. So I kind of noticed that and then like whisper it to the guys. I'm like, hey, they're not halflings. They're short people.
Where'd they get all the? Where'd they
You're
get all
short
the
people.
babies?
Between ages 8 to 15. you
8 to
said?
15, yeah.
So some of them were born after the big flame.
So how good are their shots? Are like they just shooting frantically everywhere, or
No, their shots as a ranger, their shots are notable.
Wow.
And they're notable because they're not like taking time to like they are it looks like the role of this training facility is like target numbers are called out, and then abruptly the person that is firing shoots that target.
Our,
That's
Speed
so
it.
cool.
speed and accuracy is what it is.
our tour guide saying like, and these are our army of children.
No, they have not brought up the fact that they are children.
Got a lot of babies in here.
I mean, this is our youngest class, yes. Often, folks, things are not so good in Bell these days, and birth rates are down. First of all, but the folks that do have children often prefer the safety of our facility over the risks of living away, frankly.
Wow, what is happening?
Hmm?
Sorry, I'm just like making. This is a very. First off, really like the name the Swarm.
Yeah.
That's a pretty awesome name. Not gonna lie.
You guys do like math class and stuff.
Oh yes, we'll get there.
Oh, okay.
We would be
Alright,
we would be a
excuse
very
me.
poor facility, educational facility, if we didn't teach basic things like math, history, and sex education. What
You
kind
know,
of
I didn't-
lunatic education structure would opt out of teaching mathematics, history, and sex education when those are clearly important things to learn within any given setting? It's
wanna make
important
it
to know
very-
the context. We can't just arm children with a set of skills that becomes dangerous in the public and not train them on the appropriate use of said skills. That's insane. That would be wildly inappropriate. We would be terrible people. We would be awful, awful people to give people skills like magic and monk abilities and not train them on proper protocol and use, as well as ethics, history, math, and science? That's wild. That is
And
a
sex
wild
education.
notion. A wild notion. If we didn't
Ryan,
teach
I
sex
just-
ed, this facility would be rampant with herpes. Rampant.
Just okay, real quick. Let's put the game aside for a moment. Was that Egon ranting or was that you ranting?
Both.
Okay,
both.
great.
That is both Egon's beliefs and my beliefs, and also why Harry Potter is a terrible, terrible book franchise.
Unless they're willing to sponsor us.
Unless
No.
No.
No rolling money.
No.
No rolling money. Oh goodness, that
Wow.
was great.
I'm glad we're all in alignment on that at least. Wow.
Fantastic. This is really impressive already. We've just started.
Sure, yes. They congratulate one of the students who did particularly well and say, please continue. We'll continue to the southern quarter, where they lead you.
They're wearing the same outfits.
They are, yeah.
The swarm.
They take you to
Tunnel
the
snakes
southern
rule.
quarter, where there are martial training dummies, as well as there appears to be set up various, I don't know, I guess like CPR dummy type things.
Whoa.
Not for CPR, but they're like built
Different.
with like mock wounds.
Yeah, the
on
purpose
them.
is resuscitation.
It looks like the purpose is triage rather than resuscitation.
Oh.
But triage and appropriate appropriate like intervention.
Is anyone there? And there's a class going on there. so
Yeah,
that's-
there's like maybe 8 or 9 folks.
Is
in
there
that
anything
room.
in there that's like, if I take a quick glimpse, like, hey, that's kind of like different, or hey, that's like, I haven't thought of that one before.
They do appear to have some kind of ointment or salve you're not familiar with, and they're using it. They're applying it under the bandages, and then the bandages kind of it creates almost like a sticky bond essentially. And the ointment looks to be like honey colored. It looks like you get the idea they probably make it here.
Well, okay, I'm gonna ask like, hey, where's, can I get some of that? And like I show 'em my medical stuff. I'm like, that would be really helpful in this kit. And like I feel like I could have I move some stuff over and it's like a perfect slot for like, hey.
Yeah, so Egon says, we can perhaps part with some, although that is
Hey,
that is
afterwards,
a
that's fine, we get
very
it.
rare resource. Yes.
We could talk about it. I just, I think it'd be very helpful to be able to bring some very interesting and new techniques that I've never encountered before in case of an emergency.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely have that conversation at some point. This is the, as you may have guessed, the training room for medicine and martial arts, specifically hand-to-hand combat. Unfortunately, we are limited on space, so we have to kind of double up some of these rooms. But we do use we do train our students in assessing illness and injury, as well as appropriate interventions, and we do, as you have noticed, teach them in the ways of our nectar, we call it. It's a little on the nose, I know, but traditions are as they are. So
Anyax, we can't hear you very well.
I know I have to undo the thing. So we've established that these are kids, not actually halflings.
the first room were children. This is a mixed group, so this group looks to
Okay.
be probably between 13 and 20.
Okay. are they all different races, or
Yeah,
are
it's
they?
a blend of it's a very heterogeneous kind of pluralistic race um, class.
Um,
There is a
so
large. There are no humans, notably, but there do appear to be the other so-called noble races, as well as a couple of Goliaths. There are 3 or 4 lizard folk, and then there are a couple of folks that you can't quite put your finger on. Um, they look vaguely human, but they have like kind of snake eye features. Some of them have kind of like small horns that strike you as odd but not unsettling.
what color is their skin?
Um, uh, Beige, white human
Okay.
colored.
Um, Egon, um how did these children how did all the folks here find their way here?
Well, we don't really ask our students about their past. We see this as a new beginning for them, so we don't.
I mean, were did they
Some were dropped
did,
off
did
by their parents, and some showed up.
okay, but they all came here, like you didn't find them out and about in the world.
We
They all,
don't have the resources to recruit. Frankly, we don't.
Hmm.
Our numbers are larger than we can. It's a stretch as it is. I'll put it that way. We don't have the resources to support recruitment. So we're very happy with our numbers as they are, but um, we would find it very inappropriate to turn people from our doors.
how do people find out about the Swarm? That is a really cool name.
I mean, I suppose legends mostly. We were a pretty famous meadery with a relatively um, well large amount of renown once upon a time. My expectations are the old traditions and old stories are a point of hope for families looking to provide some safety for their children. As I said, Bell is a very dangerous place um, for able-bodied folks, but um, even more so for children that aren't trained to defend themselves.
I know you said you don't ask well, they wouldn't know. The 8-year-olds, they wouldn't know how they got here because they're 8 years. Has everyone here lived here most of their lives?
I mean, we don't. There are a few individuals who were born in the facility. Um, you'll see them in the next classroom. They're the oldest of the classes, but we don't take in newborns because we don't have the nutrients, frankly, for newborns. But we'll take in individuals as young as 3. Occasionally, we will host a family for that amount of time until their children can be brought into the swarm. But at that point, we no longer. It's quite a burden for us to host the parents of our membership. So we don't. Once those rare occasions get to the point where we can take those children in, there's an expectation that their parents move on.
Okay. I'm also trying to ask this question as delicately as possible. We have not seen children under the age of 10 anywhere else in our travels, and there they are. So
Mhm.
I just can't help but wonder how they found their way, how they found their way here, and also how they were born in the first place. We just
Sure,
haven't seen it.
yes. Well, as I said, birth rates are down. I don't know of any instances of human birth in the region since the
Aha.
shadows started to take hold. Though I could be mistaken. We don't, as I said, we don't reach out to communities. So perhaps there are many children born. We pretty much stay to ourselves unless there is deemed a pretty substantial threat that needs addressing.
And we've been hanging out with mostly humans this whole time, haven't we?
Well, I don't know. I don't know who.
No, I'm sorry. That was an out of character question. I should have made that clear. We just been hanging out with a bunch of humans for the last few months, right?
Most of Wind's Hollow's population is indeed human,
Okay.
and we found it odd. I explain out loud that there indeed were there weren't any children.
Thanks for that subscription, Shifty Jack.
Yeah.
Egon says, yeah, our best explanation is that it has something to do with the shadow corruption. That humans somehow have become infertile in this region since the shadow corruption. But for whatever reason, that hasn't affected the longer living species. We do have a few lizard folk, but there aren't any lizard folk tribes in Bell. Most of them come up from the Asvarian forest. I have a small amount of pride in recognizing them to be from my native tribe. The longer living races seem to have fared a bit better in terms of reproduction as well in the last decade, though even those numbers are far lower than they once were. We don't have a guess as to the birth rates of the last 10 years here in Bell, but we would not be surprised to see that they were decimated relative to their prior numbers. Is there anything else here, or did you want to move on to the classrooms?
Let's go have a look.
Sure.
Cooper. Oh yeah, Cooper, Cooper, you're talking very quietly over there. We can't hear
Oh,
you.
no. Yes, it's the classrooms. The classrooms.
Excellent. They lead you through to the final kind of quarter of this facility, where you see in the center is a Goliath lecturing to a series of desks inhabited by probably 20 to 25-year-olds who are diligently taking notes. And it appears as if this is a history lecture on the history of the Great War and the double speak related to the Emerald Blades.
Oh.
A what speak?
The double speak. So it appears as if he is offering a lecture related to the official record of the Emerald Blades relative to the lived experiences of those who encountered them here in Bell. The Emerald Blades have a pretty tainted record based off the historical record because it was largely created by the Empire that needed excuses as to why a bunch of people from Bell died, and blamed it on poor leadership and bad decision making, as well as cult-like mercenary behavior. But it seems as if they are teaching a bit of a different message in terms of the Emerald Blades being a bit of a warden-type organization that defended Bell for a good amount of time before stumbling upon larger threats that were acting in Bell that needed to be addressed. There is a short discussion of them being betrayed, though the context seems to be this. You're only hearing one lesson of a larger curriculum. It appears.
Which version of events do I know as a current blade?
You probably know both, right? Like you
Okay.
probably know that in fact they were a warden organization aligned with the city of Bell, kind of defending Bell, and then those threats began to grow beyond Bell, and they moved beyond Bell, and then they went to a big war against a kind of combined army of nefarious creatures in the desert, and about 400, as well as a large contingent of the civilian core of Bell, went to battle. And to your knowledge, maybe a couple of dozen returned. Most of them were killed in that battle.
Damn.
And seemingly, there doesn't seem to be any indication of what the goal of that battle was, frankly.
I look at our group leader.
Yes.
This is cool. Not everybody knows this stuff.
Well, not everyone was here to encounter them directly. As I said, we've been here quite some time, and we will at least offer the information of support that the organization offered Bell. We leave it up to the students whether they choose to engage with that narrative or the record narrative, as it were. But many of us were directly benefited, and directly the dangers in our lives were directly intervened upon by the Emerald Blades. So
That's cool.
I'm afraid we've reached the end of the facility, as it were, in terms of the tour. Perhaps if you wish to stay the day, we might be able to arrange access to the stills and distillery tomorrow, though we don't generally do that. But perhaps in this case, a large commercial customers that you wish to be, we can make an exception.
I mean, I think that sounds cool. We could take a pause on our sandwich adventure.
I don't want to get in the way of the sandwich adventure.
It's very important, but we definitely have a couple extra days packed into the itinerary.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. How many kids you got in this facility?
Kids?
Yeah, like students.
Oh, well, I suppose we have 30 or so. We do have graduates who are currently active agents, but they typically stay to themselves. Occasionally, we do hear about large, dangerous creatures that attack that are shadow tainted, and so we send our small contingents of the swarm to deal with those.
Wait, there's really only like 30 students in this whole between like the swarm and all these people studying?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just pictured there being like way more kids in here.
No, so the first room with the bows, there were about a half a dozen,
Oh,
and then
okay.
there were about the same number working on the medical triage stuff, and then there's probably about a dozen or 50, or maybe 20 kids here studying. The facility clearly could house many more than that, but housing being only one aspect of need in a facility. They don't have, frankly, the food or facilities to grow the food they would need for many more people.
Sure.
How would we identify someone if we were also headed out to deal with an issue? Is there any way to identify that since we know you, I'm not saying that given like, hey, we're friendly, but like also like something to them that they would also understand that we are trying to get to a common goal of removing a threat. Um, is there any way that an agent that might have been out in the field that we could either provide housing for them if we are also camping, or if they are already camping, that we could join them?
Our agents are trained not to trust people outside of this facility.
That's fair. That is
Even
completely fair.
even members of the swarm, if they have not been traveling together, they're trained not to trust the potential corruption that the shadow can put upon individuals. So I'm not sure that there would be a good way for you to prove. In fact, trying to prove it might even make them more suspicious.
Right.
I was just trying to think, swarm mentality kind of idea of working together. So I guess maybe I'm just backwards there.
In better days, there would have been plenty of opportunity, but the shadow being what it is, we've had to alter our lessons a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all for hanging around another day. We could discuss strategy, or we could talk amongst ourselves and see how much mead we need to purchase, or other strategies that we might want to bring up and discuss while touring the distillery.
Okay.
It looks like everyone is kind of in the midst of their days. Actually, what time is it right now? And normally, when does everyone's training come to an end so that folks would get to a period of rest or play that we might be able to get to know everyone better?
We have a bit of a rotating schedule. The classes start in waves. The earliest folks to rise are the folks here, the older folks in this room, and the second group are the folks in the last room, and then the younger children are the last to rise. That is intended to make sure that someone is awake in this level of the facility at all times. So there is kind of a rolling rest period. My expectation is that the students here will probably be the first. I'll have to address the schedule. The classroom section is last in the schedule, so my guess is these folks would be within 5 or 6 hours of their respite. We do have a bit of an odd clock here within the facility due to us being largely subterranean. We don't worry about the sun as an indicator of, or the fire moon as an indicator of time, so much as what can get done in a given amount. So we typically have 30-hour days rather than 24, which is an adjustment for some, but that is the way of it. These folks should be done in about 5 hours, and then everything will rotate. The youngest children will start fairly soon after that, I would think. Though obviously we don't train them in such dangerous weapons as the whip dagger, but We do try to get them trained with basic weapon proficiencies, as well as basic martial arts to allow them to, hopefully to some degree, defend themselves in case of attack.
Hey, thanks for letting me know about the timing and such. When we had arrived onto the island, frankly, this was basically one of our first locations that we had come upon because we wanted to be able to report over to you and let you know of our presence. But aside from that, and the large statue from Days of Old, which we had approached and it actually responded to us, we felt very blessed.
It's bizarre, all right.
We thought it bizarre as well, but we actually had a similar encounter to a statue that looks very similar to it, and it gave us great blessings. This one gave blessings of a different kind, but we thought it very interesting, and potentially a pattern. In case you may be curious, this one, like I said, it was a little unexpected, but we were also curious if there may be anything else on this island that may have been particular note or important for us to take note of while we are staying here.
Well, I don't believe so. I mean, the island is not terribly large. Largely, it is.
We saw a bunch of trees.
Yeah, I mean, notably, it's a respite from the gloom of Bell, but aside from that, it largely, at this point, only covers the hive, as it were. There's not much more to it than the size of the hive underneath.
Got it.
We do try to keep a good relationship with the bees above. Our expectation is that the bees above are what keep this small parcel of land more verdant and vibrant than the rest of Bell. But beyond that, we're not really sure why we've lucked into such good spirits here, as it were, if you'll pardon the pun.
Yes.
That's all
Thank you.
I don't. Was there anything else you were curious about? No. All right.
So, well, quick question. You see the corruption as like as a bad thing or like an enemy? Is that correct?
I mean, yeah, yes, we lean into our superstition a bit, but the corruption has been relatively negative. I would say not even relatively. It has been a poor influence on the area, and any time you have an outside force that has such power as to drop the birth rates of entire cultures, I would say that is a risk that should be taken seriously. Occasionally, monsters slip down from the north that are clearly tainted with shadow and need to be culled, as it were. So we send out agents, but largely we hope to remain as verdant as possible, as long as possible here at the hive. Hopefully, the bees will remain protective in their relationship with us. But that remains to be seen. But long ago, our aviaries stretched much further than this mere half-mile island. Beyond the rivers, we had substantial facilities for honey collection. Unfortunately, those have been corrupted, and vile creatures have come about because of it. But
Do you have any communications or connections with anyone out west?
out west, as in west of Bell,
Yeah, west of Bell.
as in, all right, to clarify,
The city of Bell.
west of the city of Bell, still within the city-state of Bell. Got it.
Yes, within the city state of Bell.
He says, occasionally we send agents out that way. There are some folks in Saban's Folly, though that is largely the western border of the region and where the corruption begins to falter. To the south, we have had agents go as far south as Pines End. The Great Forest there is very powerful and very chaotic, and as such has its own natural defenses against the shadow. It's an old forest. Folks say that the Fae have hold up there, but again, we don't dive into superstitions terribly, but the legends have it that the powerful Fae spirits and heroes reside in the Great Forest. Largely wishful thinking, I think, but such as things are, that there does seem to be some sort of supernatural defense in the Great Forest against the shadow.
What was the name of the place south of what? Of where?
Pines End.
Pines End?
Yeah.
Actually, Dimitri, do you have a map of how we got here?
Map.
Is there anything on this map? Is there anything not on this map that you had mentioned in terms of where your agents can go?
I mean, our agents. I am uncomfortable giving you the locations of our agents specifically, but rest assured they act throughout Bell and even in other states as well. Pines End appears to be on your map as well as Saban's Folly.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I feel uncomfortable going into greater detail in protecting the safety of our agents.
Understandable. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else we can do for you?
The class that's going on right now, is it just purely lecture based, or do any of the swarm study from books?
We once had more books than we do now. They've fallen into disrepair, unfortunately. We don't exactly have access to a binding facility or a printing press, as it were. We don't have the wealth of the empire behind us. Unfortunately, most of the lectures come from memory. Our lecturers do write down their recollections of the lectures and lecture from that. But largely our students are required to take notes. We try to provide as much as we can, but resources are hard to come by out here.
Do your students generally go topside, or once they're down here until they become an agent?
Occasionally, if we deem things safe enough, our students can go. We don't let them cross the river. We don't necessarily stop them, but we heavily encourage them to remain on this side of the river for their safety. Typically, we only do that when we have enough agents in the hive to defend them should anything go awry. Despite the fact that they are training, they are not yet trained, and we would hate to put amateur folks up against what have proven to be very dangerous beasts. So.
All right. Yeah. We can hang around for the day. Actually, Coop. What Coop? You wanted to tour the facilities downstairs? That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Um.
That is the decision that Cooper is making as team captain today.
Yeah.
He's, he's decided to defer to Dimitri.
No,
It
no.
was earlier.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
Coop had
It
made
was
it
the
earlier,
desire.
Cool.
but that was the
Except
And
design.
therefore it
the gang
keeps
goes
us
on
here.
a brewery tour.
Yeah,
Right.
it's the. I was gonna say, do we want to like explore around the island a little bit upstairs while we wait for the time? See if there's anything else up there.
Me?
I'd kind of like to.
Yeah. I don't see why not.
Oh.
I am going to be making friendship bracelets for all the children in here. But
Yes, I was
now
gonna
that
say we
there's
should
only
make
like
stuff.
30 of them. That's fine.
Excellent.
So about how long, sir, until we can until the tour would be prepared for downstairs?
Oh, we'll have to discuss it. The administration will have to discuss it, so it will be tomorrow.
Okay.
Do keep in mind we keep a 30-hour day instead of a 24-hour day. So
Yes.
tomorrow for us means something slightly different than it does for you.
How does that work?
What?
So how many hours from now until tomorrow?
14 hours before we'll have a good decision for you. As it were, if you wish to speak to some of the students, they should be done in 4 or 5 hours. If you wanted
Right.
to, it sounds like you want to get some fresh air. This is quite an adjustment for folks often to be confined down here. So
Yeah, well, we were just stepping outside to explore the meadery
Mhm.
up top, and see this lush island that y'all live on,
Mhm.
and then we'll be back in a couple of hours. Then.
perfect. You guys head up, and you have not taken the appropriate time to appreciate all that this island provides. It is a field of vibrant green moss and clover. You take a minute to just kind of like lay down and just feel the kind of cushion that it provides here. This is vastly different than the grasses around Winds Hollow. Winds Hollow's grasses are rough and stiff and razor-like, and the moss and clover here provides a very soft cushion for you to really embrace. This is Cooper, this is the grass you remember in Bell before Bell fell. There is a reason that Bell was the food supplier for the continent, and that is because the ground had its own interest in providing food. There was something supernatural about the land here that provided good soil and good food, and that translates into even the grasses are better here than other places. And so you really take a moment to enjoy the grasses here, and you lay back and you kind of pitch your head up on a tree stump. And in the distance, vastly away, couple of days away at least, you see what you barely make out as a great dark shadow flying through the air over the distant towers of Bell as it makes a break toward the east. And that is where we will pick up next time on In the Red. We will be back in January.
Oh no!
We're taking a couple of weeks off here for the holidays. So we will be back January 4th, I think.
That's a Tuesday.
It is a Tuesday. I assume folks' schedules will be fine by then. If not, we will keep you updated. But that is the expectation, is January 4th we'll be back for the next episode of In the Red. Join us then. Join us. Jake, did we say we're playing next week? Yes, join us next week, the 20th, for the last episode of the year of Storm King's Thunder, as we explore Durlag's tomb. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Patreon. On Patreon, you can give us $3 a month to give these folks an extra Benny every month. $15 a month gives these folks exciting NPCs and or Fey spirits to control, like Big Mar, savior of the bees, and like dwarves that have bamboozled y'all out of a mine.
What are we gonna do with the mine? It's just gonna collect dust with all the other junk that we have.
That's true. You do have a lot of junk, and a mine to add to that list of junk would not be terribly helpful. Anyway, join us next Monday for Storm King's Thunder. Join us in the new year for the next episode of In the Red. Until next time, have fun, play safe, play with friends, and as always, roll together. Thanks, guys.